Unit 8, Lesson 5. So, using dot plots to answer statistical questions. Remember, statistical questions are questions that you could ask to a variety of people and get a variety of results. So I can use center and spread to describe data sets, including what's typical in the data set. I can use a dot plot to represent the distribution of a data set, and I can answer questions about real-world situations. So our warm-up today, we're looking at the weights of backpacks in kilograms of 50 students at a school in New Zealand. The dot plot shows several dots at 0 kilograms. What could the value of 0 mean? It could mean a couple of things, but what I automatically think of when your backpack weighs 0 is you don't have a backpack. So those kids don't have backpacks. So if they may be carrying their books in their hands, they may be using lockers, something like that. So then it says, Claire and Tyler studied the dot plot. Claire said that I think we can use 3 kilograms to describe a typical backpack weight of the group because it represents 20% or the largest portion of the data. So that would be right here. Tyler disagreed. He said 3 kilograms is too low to describe a typical weight. Half of the dots for the backpacks that are heavier than 3 kilograms, so I would use a larger value. Do you agree with either of them? Explain your reasoning. I agree with Tyler that you would need to use a heavier weight because more than 50% of the backpack weights are more than 3 kilograms. So more than 50% of the backpack weights are more than 3 kg. And kg is just the abbreviation for kilograms. So I would agree with Tyler. All right, then I'm going to look at slide 3. 25 students in the 6th grade were asked to estimate how many hours a week they spend talking on the phone. This dot plot represents their reported number of hours of phone usage. So, I mean, that's kind of interesting that out of 25 6th graders, the majority of them don't talk on the phone. That kind of surprises me based on this dot plot. How many of the students reported not talking on the phone during the week? So the way I would figure that out is because they're at 0 and I would count the dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the first part is how many students? 10 students. And how do I know? 10 dots on 0 hours. Okay, then it says, what percentage of the students reported not talking on the phone? Well, we're looking at 25%, or not 25%, but 25 students. So that's percent and numbers. We know that 100% is 25 students. If I want to figure out what one student is, I'm going to divide by 25. Divide this side by 25, and I figure out that that's 4%. So we figured out that was 10 students because we counted them. So if I multiply this side by 10, I have 40%. So 40% of 6th graders don't use the phone or don't talk on the phone. I would not guess that's true at Havelock Middle. So the next question says, what is the largest number of hours a student spent talking on the phone per week? So that would be 3 hours. So then it says, what percentage of the group reported talking on the phone for this amount of time? So again, I use my table. So I have percent and I have numbers. And I know that 100% is 25 students. I know that to figure out what one student would be, I'm going to divide by 25. So I figure out one student is 4% of the data. I have 3 dots. So I'm figuring out what percent 3 students would be. And it would be 12%. How many hours would you say these students typically spend talking on the phone? Okay, so if I'm looking at my data, it's pretty low because I know that this is 10. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3. So if I was looking at the heights of the bars or the number of dots that we have, I would say it's somewhere in the ballpark of one-ish hours. So maybe 1 to 2 hours. Remember, you're trying to give a best guess or based on the understanding what you think. So I'm going to say 1 hour because that's about half of the data. So how many minutes per day would that be? So that's 60 minutes per day. So then it says, how would you describe the spread of the data? Would you consider these amounts of time on the phone to be alike or different? Explain your reasoning. Well, the spread, the data is pretty close together. So if I was describing the spread is between 0 and 3 hours. And then would you describe the amounts of phone alike or different? I would describe them as alike because the hours are close together. Because the distance between the hours is 3. So the hours are pretty close together. So here's a dot plot from the earlier activity. It shows the number of hours per week, the same group of 6th graders reported spending on homework. So this was from last week. So overall, are these students more alike in the amount of time they spend talking on the phone, or are they more alike in the amount of time they spend in homework? Well, they're definitely more alike in how they talk on the phone because the spread is larger for the homework. So they are more alike talking on the phone the spread is smaller. So the smaller the spread, the more alike it is. So the greater the spread, the less alike it is. So then I'm looking at that same information. We're still on the phone. Suppose someone claimed that these 6th grade students spend too much time on the phone. Do you agree? Use an analysis of the dot plot to support your answer. Well, to me, I would say no, because in a week, you've got whatever 24 times 7 is. So I would say no. The longest any student is on the phone is 3 hours per week.